Today what we're gonna do, real simple, is we're gonna prepare all the ingredients first. So we're gonna cut an onion. So what you wanna do is take your knife and you wanna slice like this. It's a really subtle motion. See how I'm slicing with my knife? And then the garlic, we're gonna do the same thing here. We're just gonna slice the garlic, rough chop of garlic, and then last we have our tomatoes. I like to leave them whole, you know. They'll blister down, they'll saute down. I'm gonna turn my stovetop on here, and I'm gonna add my oil into my pan. And the key thing when you're sauteing is you wanna use your oil as a thermostat, right? So most oils smoke around 350, 375. So this pan was cold, and all we're gonna do here is wait for that to come up to temperature and wait for it to barely smoke. Because once it barely smokes, it tells me it's hot enough to put my meat in there. And a pork chop, you'll notice here, this is a really thick cut, right? So a tender loin is gonna be a smaller round circle, where a pork loin is off the larger part, still really, really lean, super guilt-free for you, healthy, as they like to say, right? I'm gonna season this both sides with salt and pepper.
And it is one of my favorite cuts, the loin, whether it's the tenderloin or a loin chop like this, because it is an easy way to shop. We've talked about that before.
Yes.
Looking for loin is a leaner cut. I'll say it a million times because people have so many questions about that.
Yeah, so just look for the word loin. Simple.
Yep.
You could either get it whole, it's a really long piece, or you can cut it in pieces, and then you'll get it as a chop here, or sometimes you'll even see it with the bone in, which has a lot of flavor there. Don't season your meat too early. If you season it with salt and pepper too early, all that salt is gonna draw out the moisture, it's gonna dry out your piece of meat. You wanna season it right before you cook it. I'm gonna lay this in on one side of my pan here. You just have to let it cook. If I sit here and stir it or mess with it too much, what'll happen is the temperature will come down and my meat won't caramelize. So I really have to just lay it in my pan and let it cook. Any loin or tenderloin, 145 is the sweet spot. So now I'm ready to flip this over. And I'm gonna flip it over into the empty side of my pan. You can see it caramelized nicely there. I'm gonna throw my garlic, my onions in there, a little bit of salt and pepper right over the top. This will help kind of draw out that moisture so that this can caramelize and add flavor. I'll throw my tomatoes on top of that and my balsamic vinegar. And then you can also add some herbs. If you have fresh herbs, great. If not, you can use some dry spices on top of that. And then we're gonna hit this with some feta cheese. So this is gonna add a little bit of creaminess, pretty mild flavor in cheese. And we're just gonna finish this in the broiler. All right, so we have our finished product here. We broiled it on top, so it's nice and caramelized. Our blistered tomatoes, onions, garlic, some herbs. So now we're gonna plate it, garnish it with our caramelized onions, our tomatoes.
And that pork with the cheese or the pork with the tomato and the cheese, you can have a different bite every single time. This is fantastic. And one dish cooking fast like that, that's this good. Thank you for this recipe.
Just one pan gets messy.
Yes, exactly.